Good morning, Tommy.
Morning, Sis B.
Okay, ke sis. Okay, it's fine. Siyasebenza ke ne. Benifuna usitheste
Yeah,
ka.
now that
Okay, ke.
yeah.
Sharp. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Good morning, members, Deputy Minister, Acting Secretary for Police, National Commissioner, colleagues, guests, and everyone present. I'm going to start a meeting. We do have a quorum. Members, I'm going to facilitate the process of electing.
You are muted.
Sorry about that. Members of electing the chairperson of the committee. In terms of National Assembly, Rule 158, a committee must elect one of its members as the chairperson of the committee. I will now allow the members to nominate the chairperson of the committee.
Good morning. Thank you, Babalwa. Good morning, everyone on the platform. My name is Honorable Patricia Peacock. I therefore propose the name of Honorable Seabe to be the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police.
Do we have a seconder, members? Ms. Marekwa? Mr. Marekwa? Ms. Mareka, you are muted.
Thank you. I thought you were calling Mr. Marekwa. Good morning, members, DM and everybody on the platform. My name is Bonnie Marekwa, Miss Bonnie Marekwa. I would like to second the proposal on the name of Honorable Seabe to be the chairperson. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chairperson. Are you there?
Chairperson, you are muted.
Nicolette, can you kindly assist?
Good morning, honorable members, honorable Peacock. Bababa, is honorable Seabe on the platform? Apologies, honourable members. We're just trying to get hold of Honourable Seabe. Honourable Seabe, you're muted.
Yes, I'm on platform.
Recording in progress.
Sorry, members, I'm back. Sorry, members, I'm back. Can I start from the beginning? Ms. Peacock, you nominated Mr. Siabi as the chairperson of the committee. Can I request for the members to second the nomination?
Sorry, chairperson, can I come in here? Babalwa, can I come?
You can come in, Mr. Sheikh Imam.
Yeah, Babalwa, at the previous meeting, we proposed and seconded that Honorable Siabi will act as the chair until a new chair is appointed. So my understanding is there's no need to reappoint him as an acting chair in every meeting because that was proposed and supported.
Mr. Sheikh Imam, today we are the permanent chairperson of the committee. We are electing the permanent chairperson of the committee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Members, can I ask for a second?
Sheikh Imam, seconds.
Members, do we have any further nominations? If members, we don't have any further nominations, Mr. Siabi, do you accept the nomination as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police?
I do, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Siabi. Mr. Siabi, you are now elected as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. I will now hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baba Alwa, and thanks to everybody on the platform. Let me greet the Deputy Minister and your team, the National Commissioner, General Masemula and your team, Dr. Lebeya and your team, and the team from Secretariat. Honorable members who are on the platform, and our staff generally. Thanks for showing confidence in me. I hope moving forward we'll work together like we did before, just to complete this term on a higher note. So I would heartily want to thank you for electing me and showing confidence in me again. Can we have the agenda for today's meeting? Babalwa, can we have the agenda for today's meeting? Honorable Sheikh Imam, is this hand a legacy hand or is it a new hand?
Sorry, it's a legacy hand, Chair.
There is the agenda for today. We're done with item 1. We're on item 2, adoption of the agenda. Can I have proposals for the adoption of the agenda. Our
Sheikh
agenda
Imam.
today, Sheikh Imam, moving. Can I have a seconder? Honorable Marekwa.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you,
a second.
Chairperson. Thank you, Chair. I would like to second Honorable Sheikh Imam on the agenda to be adopted by this meeting. Thank you.
The motion is seconded. Any other opposing view? Nothing.
Seconded,
The agenda
Chairperson.
stands. Thank you very much, Honorable Mulekwa. The agenda stands adopted as it is. Can we have apologies?
Chairperson, I received the apologies from the Minister of Police. He won't be able to attend the meeting due to the ministerial briefing on political killings in KZN. Rev Meshwa, he indicated that he will leave the meeting early. Mr. Sheikh Imam, he joined the meeting, but he indicated earlier on that he's not feeling well. So those are the apologies that I received from the members.
Thanks very much. Honorable Groenewald.
Congratulations with your election as chairperson. It is, as you said, it's still the end of this term. It's just around the corner. So you will get the support as long as we do the right things, and I do believe that you will ensure that we do the right things. So congratulations on that. Chairperson, unfortunately, I have to apologize from 10 o'clock. In fact, at this moment, I was supposed to be at the other meeting. So please accept my apology from 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thanks very much for those words of encouragement, Honorable Groenewald. Your apologies also noted. Any other apology? Thanks very much. We're now on item 4. Honorable members, last week, the police disrupted a major cash-in transit syndicate in Thohoyandou, Limpopo, during a dramatic shootout between police members and suspects. It is believed that the syndicate is responsible for several cash-in transit robberies across Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Gauteng. The operation was the culmination of a major investigation that began in January this year. During the shootout, 18 suspects were killed. Of course, now we are told they discovered 19 bodies. While the loss of life is always regrettable, we believe that the police used force proportional to the threat. The committee expresses its gratitude to the selfless service of the various disciplines that formed part of the operation, including the DPCI National Priority Violent Crime Desk, Mpumalanga DPCI Head Office Tactical Operations Management Services, Tactical Response Team, Gauteng Special Task Force, and Gauteng Traffic Police Saturation Unit. We wish the wounded member of the DPCI a speedy recovery. Honorable members, Operation Chanel continues to gain momentum countrywide and is making significant inroads into violent crime. Over the past weekend, the police arrested about 849 suspects in Northwest Province, amongst which were wanted persons and undocumented foreign nationals. On Sunday, I had a privilege to attend the 2023 National Commemoration Day, during which we honored our fallen heroes and heroines who paid the ultimate price for serving their country. The event was emotional as we remembered the 34 police officers that were killed while on duty during the past year. We trust that the dignified event brought some closure and comfort to the families that attended. May they find comfort in our appreciation for their sacrifice and in the cherished memories of their loved ones. We call on the SAPS to ensure that families of our fallen heroes and heroines receive the necessary support and are well looked after, especially in terms of educational support to their young ones. The committee further thank our President, Honorable Ramaphosa, for his attendance at this event. Honorable members, on the last day of Women's Month, the SAPS hosted the Women in Law Enforcement Parade in Gqeberha. The SAPS was joined by female members from various arms of our security services, including the Border Management Agency, the National Prosecuting Authority, Traffic Services, and Correctional Services. The number of females from specialized divisions, such as their air wing, bomb disposal, flying squad, and many more, prove that policing is no longer just for men, but is inclusive of all genders. I even made a comment to the National Commissioner and the Minister that I've never seen so many beautiful women police officers in one venue. It was really nice. However, during our earlier oversight visits to police training facilities in Kambali and Tshwane, we saw that the police intake was very much male-dominated, and we want to renew our call to the SAPS to intensify recruitment effort to attract women into the SAPS fold. We hail the recent success of the DPCI as announced on Monday by General Levia in cases from corruption to human trafficking, contraband trade, and drug laboratories. May you and your team, General Levia, continue this significant success in investigating priority crimes and bring listeners to book. Honorable members, in today's, as reflected on the agenda, we have two key agenda items. First, further deliberations and adoption on the motion of desirability of the IPID Amendment Bill. And second, consideration of the July 2021 Unrest implementation plan. I want to echo Am I audible?
You went
Chair.
silent. You went silent. You are only audible now. When you ask, are you audible?
Okay, I don't know where you missed me. What was the last word you heard from me?
Echo,
DM?
Chair.
Hello? Oh. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Let me repeat that I want to echo and remind members of the advice received from our senior parliamentary parliamentary legal advisor that we should not close the door on this important debate and review of the IPID Act. As requested in last week's meeting, we received the independent legal opinion from senior counsel, as well as the public submissions from the department. These documents were circulated to members and trust that members had an opportunity to consider the documents in preparations for today's engagement. Secondly, honorable members, in 2021, the committee started discussions on a proposed parliamentary inquiry into parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces. During the deliberations, the committee resolved to defer the inquiry until both the presidential inquiry and that of the South African Human Rights Commission had been finalized, in order to avoid a duplication of efforts to investigate the contributing factors that led to the unrest and the failure of the state security apparatus to effectively stop the unrest. The Presidential Panel of Experts report was published in February 2020 and made several recommendations on how to strengthen security capabilities in South Africa. The Human Rights Committee to be finalized towards the end of 2023. In the interim, the committee had requested an implementation plan from the SAPS
We've lost the chairperson again.
Hey, this load shedding is troubling us. But let's soldier on. We'll have to soldier on. I was saying the Presidential Panel of Experts report was published in February 2022 and made several recommendations on how to strengthen security capabilities in South Africa. The Human Rights Commission's inquiry is ongoing and expected to be finalized towards the end of 2023. A member of the Human Rights Commission, Mr. Chris Nissen, I think is on the platform. At some stage, we might give him an opportunity to tell us with regard to progress on this inquiry by the Human Rights Commission. In that interim, honorable members, the committee had requested an implementation plan from SAPS on the recommendations made by the Presidential Panel of Experts report, which will be presented to us today. Based on the current status of the Human Rights Commission's report and the pressures on the rest of the parliamentary program until we rise next year, we should consider transferring the inquiry to the 7th Parliament, as the remainder of the 6th Parliament does arguably not allow for sufficient time to deal with an inquiry of this extent and complexity. We will, of course, adopt our report on the decision reached today during our next meeting for tabling in the National Assembly. And at some stage, I would want members to comment on this proposal that we transfer the inquiry to the 7th Parliament because of the pressure of time. In terms of the Commission, the Human Rights Commission has not as yet finalized its report, but at the same time, we have a pressure with regard to parliamentary
recording schedule. Stopped.
And I want to once more welcome you, honorable members, to this meeting.
Recording in progress.
The next item will be consideration of minutes. Babalo, can we flight minutes? The Babalwa. Yes, they are the minutes. Can you scroll the minutes? Let's have page 1. The minutes of the 16th August 2023. There's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, committee resolutions and closing remarks by the chairperson. I think we need to look at the last sentence, the meeting of the Portfolio Committee on Police of the 14th June. Right. Are there amendments, honorable members, to the minutes? The minutes were sent to us well in advance. Do you have any amendments? I don't see hands. Can we have a motion for the adoption of the minutes as a
to adopt, Chair. I
Honorable
move to adopt, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Sheikh Imam moves. Can I have a seconder? Seconder to adopt the minutes as a true reflection.
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Peacock. The minutes stand adopted as a true reflection of what transpired on our meeting of the 16th August. If we have matters arise from this minutes, nothing. Let's go to the second set of minutes. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Thank you. Are there amendments? If none, can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes?
Thank you, Chairperson. I move for the adoption of the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Honorable Mulekwa. Can I get a second?
Sheikh Imam. Chair.
Honorable Sheikh Imam seconding. Is there an alternative view? Nothing. Even here, I take the National Commissioner is taking note of the deliberations and recommendations or decisions of the committee. Are there matters arising from this set of minutes? Nothing. Do we have another set of minutes? Do you still have another set of minutes, Babalo? Okay. Minutes of the special meeting of the committee of the 18th August. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. The meeting adjourned at 10 hours. Thanks very much. Do we have amendments? No amendment. Can we have a motion for the adoption of the minutes as a true reflection?
Sheikh
Thank you,
Imam.
Chairperson. I move for adoption of the minutes.
Honorable Mulekwa moves. Honorable Sheikh Imam seconds. An alternative view? Nothing. I take again our administration office takes note that we need to have a meeting to deliberate in detail the released crime statistics. Thanks very much. The next item is can you fly the agenda again, Babalo? Oh, the minutes of the 30th August. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Right. There are the minutes, colleagues. Are there amendments? Can I have a motion for the adoption?
Sheikh Imam, Chair.
Sheikh Imam moves. Seconder.
Peacock, second. Peacock.
Honorable Peacock seconds. An alternative view. Thanks. The minutes are adopted. Let's take note of the committee resolutions, that a copy of independent legal opinion and the submissions from the public be made available to the committee, which was done, and that today, on the 6th of September, the committee will deal with the motion of desirability. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Babalwa. Can you fly to the agenda again? I guess this is the last set of minutes.
Recording stopped.
Please fly the agenda.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Or you can tell me what is the next agenda item? Oh. Okay, honorable members, the next agenda item is further deliberations, after which we'll then consider a motion of desirability. Members will remember that we had a presentation in our last week's meeting. However, we postponed consideration of the motion of desirability to today. I'll just give this opportunity if there are further deliberations. If there's something, okay, Honorable Whitfield, I see your hand.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you for the opportunity to consider this matter over the past week, further to our meeting last week. Chairperson, based on the information that has been shared, as well as the research paper that has been produced on this matter, I believe that the committee needs to take into account in dealing with the motion of desirability a number of factors. The one is that the parliamentary legal advisor indicates that we may proceed to amend this faulty and unconstitutional bill, but the parliamentary legal advisor also agrees that the current version of the bill that is before Parliament is unconstitutional. So that is the parliamentary legal advice. We then know that the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor has found the bill to be unconstitutional and has refused to certify the bill. We also know that the minister took the unprecedented decision to solicit an external legal opinion, no doubt because he received contrary advice from the Civilian Secretariat, contrary to what outcome he wanted to achieve. He sought outside legal advice from an advocate who further confirmed that the bill was unconstitutional. So there is no dispute around the unconstitutionality of the bill. There is some debate around whether we should or should not proceed to deal with the bill in Parliament based on the fact that it is unlikely that we will conclude this process before Parliament rises for the elections. And also, as Dr. Groenewald raised last week, that it appears to be unprecedented that Parliament should deal with a bill that has not been certified by the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, even as much as the parliamentary advice is that we may disregard that and then continue to amend the bill. These are important considerations, but underpinning all of this, Chairperson, is what I believe to be a nefarious agenda by the Minister of Police, who was not present last week to answer our questions and was not present this week, or is not present this week, to deal with our questions. A nefarious agenda that has been calculated to monopolize control over the entire department insofar as the Civilian Secretariat, which reports to the Minister, the National Police Commissioner, who reports to the Minister, and ultimately the Executive Director appointed by and reporting to the Minister. This consolidation of political power over the policing policy environment and enforcement environment, as well as accountability environment, is simply unacceptable. The fact that the Minister either misled Cabinet or informed Cabinet that the bill was unconstitutional, and Cabinet then knowingly referred the bill to Parliament, cognizant of the fact that it is unconstitutional, is a further question that needs to be deliberated upon. The Minister, as the representative member of Cabinet, accountable to this committee, must appear before this committee to answer these questions. There would have been costs associated with going outside of government to solicit a legal opinion which he had hoped would confirm his view and create more mud in the water. Chairperson, this is a unique opportunity for us to uphold the principal outcome of the Zondo Commission, which found that the Fifth Parliament failed in its duties to hold the executive accountable. This is not just about whether we may proceed to amend and correct a faulty and unconstitutional bill to make it constitutional again. This is about a cabinet that knowingly referred an unconstitutional bill to Parliament. That is an unforgivable situation, and Parliament should not rectify this bill in those circumstances, knowing what we know and understanding that, in my view, this is part of a much more complex and nefarious agenda driven by the Minister of Police. The fact that he's not been here for both committee meetings dealing with this is, in my view, unacceptable and further points to the fact that the Minister is trying to achieve an outcome which suits him and not accountability of the South African Police Service. So, Chairperson, I just think that it's very important that the very excellent research paper produced by Nicolette is considered by the members, and that the arguments that are set out objectively based on the public participation, based on legal opinions, based on state law advisors and the parliamentary advice that it is unconstitutional, be considered by the committee as a reason that we do not support the motion of desirability, given everything that we know and the fact that this role that IPID plays is so important. And I said last week, Chair, that this is a hinge of history moment. This is a unique opportunity for Parliament to assert itself over the executive. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to add what the Honourable Whitfield has said. And to save time, I'm not going to repeat everything what I said in the previous meeting. It is well documented in our minutes. Chairperson, we must say to each other, besides the cost and the fact that the Minister did not rely on the opinion of the Office of the State Law Advisor, he still went to a private senior counsellor, but he received the same opinion that the bill is unconstitutional. Now, to add to what I've said, Honourable Chair, I agree that we must get an explanation. For instance, was Cabinet misled or not? Because I can't imagine that Cabinet, knowing that it is an unconstitutional bill, then submit it and table it in Parliament. If that is true, Honourable Chair, then the integrity of the cabinet is at stake. Did we become a country where even the executive, knowing that a bill is unconstitutional, just table it in Parliament? What does it say to the electorate of South Africa? And now we must ask ourselves, we as committee, because Chairperson, the process from here is that if we accept the desirability, this bill must be publicized and the public must have ample time to comment on it. And I really, with great seriousness, Honourable Chair, ask myself of whether we as members of this committee, who always said that we act in the best interest of the people of South Africa, we have a specific integrity to ensure that the people are served. How can we as members of the Portfolio Committee give the green light to continue to publicize an unconstitutional bill again? Because we cannot change it. We can only publicize it as it is at this moment. And then after the deliberations or the submissions we received and the deliberations of the committee, then we can only change it. So we're going to publicize and ask comment on unconstitutional bill, knowing it is unconstitutional. I think, Chairperson, with great respect, if any member supports that, he or she puts their integrity on the table and ask themselves, is that what we think of our electorate? Chairperson, I really, and I'm very serious about this, we must do the right thing. The right thing, Honourable Chair, is to refer, well, firstly, not accept the desirability of an unconstitutional bill. Nobody can say that we can accept that an unconstitutional bill is desirable, and let the department follow the process from the start. But still, the minister, and there I would second the proposal from Honourable Whitfield, the minister must come and answer to this committee. Why did we, and why did his department put us as members of this portfolio committee in this situation, where we have to have long discussions on an unconstitutional bill? Therefore, Chair, with great respect, I then would say that if we put forward the motion of desirability, that we vote against that it is undesirable, and send it back, because we must also understand, if we continue the publicizing of this bill, and the members, if they follow what is happening with the Treasury and the Minister for Finance, a document that actually says we don't have money. And where in those leaked documents, it was quite clear that the Minister for Finance says and told departments, for instance, when it comes to austerity measures, that no further advertisements must be publicized because it's costing money and we don't have the money. And now we want to engage on a process going to cost the taxpayers money, and that on an unconstitutional bill. Chairperson, I think besides the integrity, that we have the responsibility to ensure that this bill is not desirable and that the department must do its job properly. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Golding.
Thank you, Chairperson. I looked through the documents as presented, and the opinion, the independent legal opinion as sought by the minister to look at the constitutionality of the bill, well, it was shown to be not constitutional. But there's a further comment there. It says the new version of the amendment bill, in which clause 4 was amended, was provided to senior counsel for opinion. That the content of and the pronouncements of the new version should not be considered by the committee, as the committee is considering only the version of the bill as introduced to Parliament and serving as before us, not any other version thereof. So the amendments on the bill are not relevant for our consideration. This is the opinion of the senior counsel. All that we consider is the bill as presented, and as presented, it is not constitutional. Any subsequent changes are not for our consideration right now. So therefore, I will support both my learned colleagues who've indicated that this bill is not desirable in its current form. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Munsuru. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Okay. Honorable Peacock.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me take the opportunity also to welcome everyone on the platform. Chairperson, on the last meeting, it was indicated that an amendment would be made on the bill, taking in consideration also of the unconstitutional of the bills itself. As the committee, we believe that since the correction were made, an amendment should be made towards the bill so that we move for the desirability of the motion of desirability on the bill. I therefore propose, Chairperson, that we move with that in considering of all what the Honorable Whitfield was saying, that the minister should come and account to the committee. That will also be considered. But for today, in terms of progress of this bill, I would really appreciate, or I would really set my reasoning that we move on with the bill and considering the motion. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shaky, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Are you back?
Thank you very much. Yes, Chair, I got cut off there briefly. I'm just not well, so. But thank you very much for this. Chair, I'm having great difficulty in understanding this. Really, I do. The state law advisor has already given an opinion that it's unconstitutional. This is the first one. Parliamentary legal advisors have done the same. An independent senior counsel appointed by the Department of Minister has also indicated that it's unconstitutional. On what basis are we even discussing this? I really cannot understand this, Chairperson, really. On what basis are we actually entertaining it until this process is corrected? And we follow due process, I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. That's basically what is going to happen. I mean, if we're not going to accept the advice and guidance and opinions of the legal advisors and going contrary to that, and once this is published, once it's in the public domain, and it is established that we as members of parliament who have a responsibility to protect the interest of the general public, despite opinions of this nature, when contrary to it, to bypass the rule of law in this country, it is really going to affect the integrity of this committee as such. And I believe, Chairperson, we should not proceed with this discussion at all until such time the process is corrected and we put credibility into this entire bill before the House. It's not per se the bill itself. There are many aspects of the bill would be, but the fact that legal advisors, who we are supposed to take a cue from, are telling us that it is unconstitutional, certainly I believe, and on behalf of the NFP, we will not want to proceed with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Majosi.
No, thank you, Chair, and good morning to all honorable members. I think I concur with Honorable Sheikh Imam, and especially speaking on behalf of the IFP, that I didn't even think that, like, I was confused, why is this bill here again? And because, I mean, if we have received advice, especially on page 4 or 5, that states clearly that the removal of parliamentary involvement already rendered the bill, the draft amended bill, unconstitutional. I'm not sure why are we discussing it, as Honorable Sheikh said, but maybe we then need to come up with a way forward, Chairperson, because speaking about it, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are now going to take a decision of, I mean, all members are agreeing with each other that the bill is unconstitutional, and which means then we must return back. I'm not even sure why are we having this discussion, as Honorable Sheikh said, because now it confuses me that why are we even discussing something that is unconstitutional as this committee? Because now I think also by doing that, we are really shooting ourselves on the foot, and we'll be left with an egg on our face at the end of the day. So as the IFP, I concur with other honorable members that has not even think of submitting the bill and let it go back and fix all the highlighted areas. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Terplanch.
Chairperson, thank you. Chairperson, we have covered a lot of ground now, and I also very carefully studied all the documentation that we received. And Chairperson, I also strongly support the previous speakers now. We can never condone, something that went wrong. That was not the responsibility of this committee. And I also strongly recommend or, support the recommendations that were made that we mustn't even discuss it further. We must send it back. And, obviously, if that is the case, it's not even necessary, maybe, I don't know, for the minister to come explain to us. Maybe when he comes back again, then he can also explain what happened and why didn't they do, their proper job. And we can never allow, cabinet now to put, parliament in the position where we find ourselves at the moment. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Majosi, is that a legacy hand?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Chair. I didn't lower my hand.
Honorable Golding, is that a legacy hand?
No, Chair. It was a fresh hand. Chairperson, just for the benefit of the Honorable Peacock, as I indicated in my previous statement, that the independent senior counsel indicated that the committee is to consider the current version of the bill B21-2023 only and not any other version thereof. We are not contemplating any possible changes or amendments after the fact. We are contemplating a bill as presented to us, and the bill as presented to us is blatantly not constitutional. Therefore, any opinion which we have is based on the bill as presented, which is not constitutional. Therefore, we cannot proceed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Please lower your hand so that, thank you very much. Those are the deliberations from members. Can I just give the Office of the Ministry, DM, before I move to the next item? Do you want to say something?
Thanks, Chair. Good morning to you. Good morning to members, and congratulations on your appointment as the chairperson of the committee. Yes, I think I should comment, Chair. Based on the presentation that the Parliamentary Legal Advice gave with regard to the rules that governs the committee on the processes of lawmaking, there is, I fully agree with him that it is within the right of the committee to proceed with the bill itself, because there is nothing in the rules that says you can't do that. What is in the rules is that where the state law advice have expressed an opinion during the sitting, the state law advisor must give an explanation as the reasons why they did what they did, which they did during the deliberations last week, to explain why they feel this piece of legislation is not unconstitutional, and we agreed with them. And we did indicate to the committee that we received an opinion on the subject matter, which arrived at the time that it arrived, and we forwarded that to the committee. And of course, we couldn't at that point withdraw the bill that has already been submitted to the committee, because that was going to delay the whole processes of having to resubmit and follow the processes leading up to the sitting. Time was not on our side, and therefore we believed strongly, and it is within the rules of Parliament that the committee can proceed to deliberate on this. The reasons that members have presented here as to why we can't proceed with the bills, I don't think it's reason enough that might have to guide us not to proceed in that direction. I heard some of the comments that I think it's just unfortunate, the issue of monopolizing power, monopolizing control, consolidating power. There is nothing like that in terms of what we ourselves as a ministry and as a department we want to do with this piece of legislation. And I think members should also appreciate the complexity of what we're dealing with here, where Parliament appoint, the minister appoint. I think this might be the first piece of legislation that requires something like that. And you don't even have how if there is a difference, how do you resolve that difference between the committee and the executive authority who must appoint and table to the legislature? It means there will be an impasse. How do you deal with the deadlocking mechanism around that? And I think in the legislation, as we process it, we must also address that particular element. So I will urge Chair and members of Parliament that I don't think what they are advancing should really be considered such that we don't proceed with this, because there is nothing in your own rules that says you can't proceed to do an amendment like this, because in any case, it's your responsibility to make legislation. If the executive comes with legislation that you feel...
Honorable Sheikh Imam, please mute your mic. Sorry, dear.
No, that's fine. I'm saying that it is within your right to amend any piece of legislation that comes before you. I don't think the argument that members are advancing really should make the committee arrive at a decision not to proceed with this piece of legislation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think we've made our comments and advices have been brought forward that as we consider the motion of desirability, these are our comments. I now move to table a motion of desirability. Nicolette, are you able to flight that so that you are able to say yes or no.
Good morning, Chair. You can just
Yes.
maybe go through the motion, please.
Pardon?
Chair, you can just read through the motion if you're able to.
Okay. Honorable members, in terms of National Assembly Rule 286, in the process of inquiring into a bill, the committee must, where applicable and as far as possible, apply various formal stages as provided for in the NA rules. Sub-rule 286B, 286 subsection B sub B states that the committee must adopt a motion of desirability relating to whether the principles of the bill and the need for the bill are accepted. The committee had the presentations and submissions. Members had an opportunity to engage and deliberate on the amendment bill. I will now read the following motion to members. Motion of desirability on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill, Bill 21 of 2023. That, in the opinion of the committee, legislation is desirable to amend and insert certain definitions, to provide for the Directorate's institutional and operational independence, to provide that the Directorate must be independent, impartial, and must exercise its powers and functions without fear, favor, prejudice, or undue influence in order to give effect to the judgment of the Constitutional Court in the case of McBride, Vice Minister of Police, and another. To amend the provisions related to the appointment of the Executive Director of the Directorate, to broaden the Executive Director's responsibility in respect of the referral of complaints regarding disciplinary matters, to provide for pre-employment security screening investigations to be conducted by the Directorate, to provide for the conditions of service of investigators to be determined by the Minister, to provide for the Directorate to investigate any death caused by the actions of a member of the South African Police Service or a member of a municipal police service, whether such member was on duty or off duty. To provide for the Directorate to investigate a rape by a member of South African Police Service or a member of the Municipal Police Service, whether such member was on or off duty. To strengthen the provisions relating to the implementation of disciplinary recommendations, to provide for a savings provision regarding the conditions of service of existing investigators and provincial heads, to amend other provisions of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Act of 2011 so as to ensure that the Directorate executes its mandate effectively and efficiently, and to provide for matters connected therewith. That is the wording of the motion, honorable members. I thus put the motion before members for a decision. We're going to vote for the motion of desirability in this manner. I will start with those in favor of the motion. Members are requested to raise their hands so that we're able to see who's supporting or not. Can those in support of the motion raise their hands? Can those in support of the motion raise their hands? I see the hand of Honorable Melina Gomba, the hand of Honorable Patricia Peacock, the hand of Honorable Boni Marekwa, and the hand of Honorable A. Molekwa. Have you recorded those hands?
Yes, Chairperson.
Are they recorded? Okay. There are 4. Can those who are not for the motion raise their hands? Please lower your hands, those who, yeah. Can we have those who are not for the motion raising their hands? There are those who Honorable Golding, you don't qualify to vote because your delegation is full. Right? Can those who are against the motion raise their hands? I see 4 hands. Honorable Groenewald, Honorable Whitfield, Honorable Terplanche, Honorable Majosi. Have you recorded the hands?
Yes, I did, Chair. Yes, Chair, I did.
Mr. Sheikh Imam, in this case, you don't qualify. Honorable Sheikh Imam? Can you hear me? Only those who are full members qualify to vote.
Thank you, noted.
Yes, just lower your hand so that we are able to record properly. There are 4 hands. Have you recorded?
It is so recorded, Chair.
Chairperson.
Yes.
Chairperson.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but I think I need to raise that. Maybe you will be corrected. I was checking if the chair is to
Okay, we'll deal with
vote
that.
for this motion because I saw that your hand. All right. Thank you.
Yes, 4 hands are recorded. Can we lower the hands? Right, can we be given the results by the administration? What are the results?
Chairperson, we've got 4 hands from the members who are in favor of the motion, and then we'll also have four hands from the members who are not in favor of the motion.
And what is the way forward that the chairperson will have a casting vote?
Chair.
Thank you. Therefore, the chairperson will then vote in favor of the motion. Did you get that?
Yes, I did, Chairperson.
Then what will be the results?
We've got 5 members who are in favor of the motion of the desirability, and then we've got 4 who are not in favor.
Okay. Therefore, the motion of desirability is carried. And again, I request Nicolette, just in short, just to present to us what will be the implications moving forward. If the motion of desirability is carried, is adopted, how do we move forward? Quickly.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. Chair, going forward, we will report the adoption of the motion to the National Assembly. We will go ahead with the processing of the amendment bill. Chair, in terms of time frames, I can quickly share these with you, if you allow.
Yes.
Chair, there we have it. Chairperson, just quickly in short, honorable members, we will mostly process the bill during the fourth term of the parliamentary term, starting in October. We will continue with the publication for public comment this coming Friday, and that will run until the 2nd of October. We will then proceed on the 18th and 25th of October with public hearings. On the 1st of November, we'll have responses from the department on public submissions. Thereafter, we will adopt the public participation report, and after that, we'll go through the clause by clause. We'll then on the 15th adopt the A list of the amendment bill, and then it is envisaged that we finalize and adopt the bill on the 22nd of November. Chair, just for interest, we have developed 4 separate scenarios for the amendment bill. Chair, honorable members, scenario A will be the best case scenario where the bill is processed through both houses of parliament, thus by the NA and the NCOP. Scenario B, chairperson, which will be probably the worst case scenario, is that the bill lapses before the NA. This can happen either before the committee or while it's still on the order paper, because it must go for the second reading debate in the NA. And the program or the schedule of the NA is quite packed with many plenaries on the BRRRs going forward. And then also currently there are 45 separate bills before the NA. So the scheduling might be a concern, but Chair, we hope that it doesn't come to that. Chair, then in terms of scenario C, we will process the bill through the NA and then transfer the bill to the NCOP for deliberation. And Chair, just to note that if the NCOP amends the IPID amendment bill that was transferred to them, in that case, it will come back to the NA for consideration of these amendments or proposed amendments by the NCOP. Chair, if this is the case, in all likelihood, the bill will then also lapse in the NA. Chair, then scenario D is that the bill will lapse before the NCOP and then will be revived in the NCOP. Chair, it must also be noted that a lapsed bill is not automatically revived. It must go through a decision then by either the NCOP or the NA to revive the bill. But Chair, also important to note that the bill is revived at the moment where it lapsed. So there's no processes that will have to be redone in terms of public participation or any other processes. So Chair, in very short, that is the process flow and the different scenarios for processing the IPID amendment bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Nicolette. That is the process flow. let's try to make sure that we process the bill as per the decision of the committee, that the bill is desirable. Let's make sure that we stick to timeframes where we are able to collapse certain things, but we must make sure that we do things within the law. We don't want shortcuts. We must do things within the law so that we don't have comebacks with regard to the process. Thank you. Thank you. We're now stepping out of that item. We go to the next item. Sorry. My apologies. Honorable Whitfield, followed by Honorable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment on the process plan. I'm not going to take you back to my strong opinions, which I've recorded and clearly indicated through the vote. I do, however, want to draw your attention to the process plan and a couple of issues. The one is, Chair, that the committee would now need to proceed to fulfill the points raised in the motion. That includes amending the bill which has been sent to Parliament. That is not a process that should be rushed. There should be sufficient time set aside for us to do that. Then, Chairperson, around public participation. Chair, I do not believe, given the controversial nature of this process that has now been undergone by the executive to bring this bill to Parliament, for Parliament to approve the motion, there will inevitably be public concern and questions surrounding Parliament's intention and interest in Parliament's amendment. I'm certainly interested to see what that will be. And will certainly make input. But, Chair, from the 18th to the 25th of October is not sufficient time for proper public participation. And I would like you to confirm whether it is the intention of the committee to proceed with public participation via the online platform, as we have done in the past, which is not generally ideal, or whether we will in fact host physical public participation meetings on a very contested bill that requires proper public scrutiny. This is absolutely critical, because if you intend to do this online between the 18th and the 25th, it's very clear that we are now rushing the process, and I don't believe that most South Africans will be able to express themselves. I believe that we will be discriminating against most South Africans, and that we will need to take this bill into communities physically. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Whitfield. Honorable Groenewald.
Chair, I want to formally let it be noted in the minutes that I object to the period for public comments to the 2nd of October. It's too short, so the committee must take note of that. There will be, can I say, maybe even litigation on that matter. So I want it clearly to be minuted in this meeting that I object to the short period of the publicizing and the period for the public to comment on this bill, so that we have the minutes, so that the committee cannot say that they didn't know that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for the comments. I think it should be noted. My view, Honorable Whitfield, is that this is is tagged as a 75 bill. Nicolette, am I correct?
You are correct, Chair.
Yes. And we'll try our best to use both, Honorable Whitfield. to make sure that we have people presenting physically, those who wish to, and those who wish to present online, that opportunity will also be given to them. We are not only going to restrict submissions to online platform only, we would also want to hear what people are saying, talking to us physically. Yes, we may not have enough opportunity to go to all 9 provinces, but I think we'll see how best we get it in such a manner that it doesn't compromise the process. But where I'm sitting, it will be both physical and online. For those who want to do it online, we'll give them that opportunity, but we'll still have an opportunity for physical presentations. And when we publicize, we do in line with the rules and the law. When we call for submissions, we also do everything in line with the rules and the law, so that we don't close anybody outside. And we don't do a rush. We don't do gongelwerk, like they say in Afrikaans. We don't. It's an important bill for our community. It's an important bill for the department. It's an important bill for all of us. So we're not going to rush over it. But we're not going to delay the process unduly. So let's make sure that we stick to the rules, we stick to the law in whatever, whether we publicize, whether we call for submissions, everything must be legal and informed by the rules of Parliament. Are we fine with that? And
Chairperson,
then, if we have...
sorry, thank you very much. I do
Yes.
think that I have recorded my dissatisfaction adequately. I don't believe the process plan will give full expression to public participation, and I don't believe it's realistic. And I think it's important that that is recorded. This is a very contested bill, and this process itself, as well as the executive process behind this bill, will be contested. I'm absolutely certain of it. And so Parliament needs to be very, very careful how we tread. Thank you.
Okay. I think the process plan is not cast in stone. Let's make sure that the process plan satisfied the legal framework. The process plan satisfies the rules of Parliament. Okay, thanks very much. And I think we can step off this item and move to the next item. What is the next item, Babalo? The next item is deliberations on the committee's inquiry into July 2021 unrest. And they were going to receive feedback with regard to how far the police are in terms of the recommendations. Maybe before we listen to the police, in my opening remarks, I've made a proposal. I don't know whether honorable members agree with that proposal, that we may not be able to initiate a process of inquiry by the committee. Maybe before that, let me give Mr. Chris Nissen, just to give us, in short, how far are they with regard to their report? Mr. Nissen? Oh, he's not, but I see he's on the platform. Okay. If he's not available, can in 5 minutes hear the views of honorable members with regard to what I said in my opening remarks, that it may not be possible for the committee to initiate an investigation. And if committee agrees, we can then say the 7th administration will then deal with the investigation if there's still a need to do an investigation. I just want to hear your comments before we give the police to give us the presentations on their progress with regard to recommendations. Any comment? Okay, I think we agree with the submission by the chair that we may not be able to do it. Mr. Honorable Whitfield?
My apologies for the delay, Chairperson. I just think it's important that we understand the frustration that members of the public will feel. And I appreciate that processes need to be followed and that some of these processes are outside of our control. But I think that we must at all times strive to try and meet the deadlines we set for ourselves, the commitments that we make to the public, the commitments we make to ourselves as committee members. To defer this to the 7th Parliament and the 7th Administration is in effect a failure of this 6th Parliament to deal with this issue which arose during its time. I have repeatedly to the previous late chairperson and recently in the previous recess to you written to request that we convene meetings during recess on exceptional circumstances to deal with matters. It would be very interesting to see whether a process plan could not be developed for us to find a way to try and deal with this during this Parliament. I think at the very least we should be presented with a process plan that proves we can't, as opposed to simply with respect, Chair, taking, your word for it. I mean, I think that it's important that we've got a process plan for the bill. Why should we not have a process plan for this matter? Just to indicate exactly the timeframes that we have, what would be possible. I think we owe that to the public at the very least. If it proves that we can't do it and that we can't meet an additional day of the week or over a recess, well, then the public will know that we've tried, or they will be able to make their judgment based on the effort that we've put in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Whitfield. I think that is a good intervention. Can we agree that in the next meeting, Nicolette Babalwa, we present to members the process plan in this regard so that we are able to take an informed decision. Nicolette Babalwa? Nicolette, yes.
Thank you so much. I've noted the decision taken. Chair, if I may, I just want to highlight that we have 3 meetings left for this term. Then there's a short recess, and the 4th term is only 8 weeks long, during which we will process the IPID Bill. We will have to consider all the amendment of the annual reports of all departments and develop the BRRR. And we also have to adopt the committee's legacy report for the 6th Parliament. So we will definitely develop the progress plan, but the program of the committee and indeed Parliament is very packed as we move towards the election next year. And in all probability, based on the previous years in which a general election was held, we will probably rise in early March So the first term of the next year will be very short, Chair. But yeah, we will develop the plan as requested.
Okay. Let's have it in the next meeting so that the committee is able to take a decision informed by the process plan. Thank you very much. Can we have a presentation from the police? I'm not sure whether Mr. Nissen is available now. It seems he's not. Can we have a police GM?
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you very much. I'm joined by the National Commissioner and the head of the Hawks and senior management on the platform, Chair, together with the acting secretary for the Civilian Secretariat and a delegation from the IPID. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we also appreciate the warm words that you made in your opening remarks, Chair, about the role that police played last week, the operation in Makado and Toyando. We also want to join you in that regard to commend them for the good work that they have done. We must not allow criminals to run amok in our country. The state must stamp its authority, and I think it's important that the National Commissioner and their team should clearly understand that we need to stamp the authority of the state so that lawlessness can be brought to the halt in the country. I think it will also be appropriate, Chair, to congratulate you on your election as the Portfolio Committee chairperson, and that will be leading us from here onwards. We wish you well in your new responsibility, and I have no doubt that the team that you are leading and the demonstration they've made in having their confidence in you, you have risen to the occasion, and you'll be able to succeed in your work. You are leading a team of men and women who are equally competent on their responsibility. So I am certain that you will be able to succeed. And from our side, we will give you all the necessary support together with your committee. We will always be a phone call away. Congratulations, and we wish you well. If you may allow, Chair, I will request the National Commissioners through you to lead us in the presentation together with the designated personnel that will do the actual presentation. Thank you very much, Chair. If you may, General Masemula can introduce the team that is with and then lead in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, DM, for your words of congratulations. We'll really work together as we did before to make sure that we deliver the service to our people. National Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. See, my signal is weak. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members, and also let me take the opportunity to congratulate you on being elected chairperson of the committee. We are looking forward to work with you. You have got our commitment to work with the committee chair and all the members. And the team I'm with today, Honorable Chair, I have Lieutenant General Libia, Lieutenant General Musikidi, Lieutenant General Sibia, Lieutenant General Zulu, Major General Mkonazi, Major General Pinar van Rooyen, and Brigadier Michel and Michelle is the one that's going to be Honorable Chair. We did experience, it was quite a hectic 2 weeks the past week. I think most of the matters have been alluded to by the Honorable Chairperson and the Honorable Deputy Minister. We say that there's not much public outcry, which is quite surprising. We still encounter a lot of police killings. In the Makado operation, we have Colonel Kutsie, who was shot during the incident and is recuperating in the hospital, but his leg was amputated because they couldn't stop the bleeding, and the damage was huge where he was shot. So they amputated his leg, but he's coming all right, he's doing well. And 2 weeks ago, we experienced the shooting of 2 members of Flying Squad in Kimberley, a Sergeant Masido, a female, and Constable Madindi, which were shot by a suspect during arrest, and we buried them the last 2 weeks. So, and just the past Saturday, there was an attempt at CIT here in Gauteng, in Soweto, where members also came under very heavy fire, but luckily we did not have casualties. And yeah, the suspect, they did not take money, but they managed to escape. So those are the matters that we have currently. Of course, we also had successfully policed and secured the BRICS conference, which was in the country, and all forces were out. We managed to police it without any incident. And also, for the information of the committee, we received a letter from the National Treasury that indicate that the government fiscus is under pressure, and they are introducing quite serious budget cuts to departments, including SAPS. We are expected to forsake 5 billion. We do not know where we're going to get it, but we are currently looking at the letter because we need to comply, and we're looking at areas which we can make out that specific money. It is required that each department give 10%. So I'm sure the letter I've seen, it was in the circulating in the social media, and we are still engaging Treasury on the details on that specific letter. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. With regard to the presentation on the recommendations by the panel of Professor Cindy Africa, we had as police 18 recommendations which we have been dealing with. Most of them, or some of them, we have completed. Some we are still in progress. Mostly were also related to the Crime Intelligence Division, which by that time they were appointed the divisional commissioner and 1 more component head, and we filled over 15 middle management posts, and also at junior level we made provision, and this current year we also made provision of over 500 posts that would be going in that direction. But we are in the process, of course, also looking at stabilizing the division. We haven't reached where we want to be, but we think we are on track in terms of stabilizing the environment, which will include
Recording
placement
stopped.
of members in that environment. I'm going to hand over to Brigadier Michelle, who will take us through the presentation, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much, Brigadier Michelle.
Thank you, National Commissioner, and good morning, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members, all protocol observed. The report by the South African Police Service on the July 2021 Unrest Expert Panel Commission report contains an introduction, an overview of recommendations, looking specifically at those recommendations that are relevant to the SAPS, and then providing the honorable members with progress on recommendations that are relevant to the SAPS. What we have done is we've attached the complete list of recommendations as an annexure to the presentation as well for reference purposes. The introduction, I'm sure honorable members will be familiar with in terms of the violent unrest that the country experienced, the subsequent appointing of the expert panel by the President of the Republic, Mr. Ramaphosa, and the release of the report as alluded to by the chairperson as well. The report was subsequently analyzed by SAPS, and there are a total of 34 recommendations in the report. As the National Commissioner indicated, 18 of those recommendations are applicable directly to the SAPS, 11 are applicable to the National Intelligence Coordinating Committee, 3 to the Civilian Secretariat for Police Service, 1 to the South African National Defence Force, and 1 to the Department of Cooperative Governance. On the right-hand slide of your screen, you will see a breakdown of the color coding that we're using to demonstrate the progress that we've achieved with the various recommendations, 11 of which are in process, 6 we've been able to implement, and 1 which we are not able to complete at this time. The progress with recommendations, starting with recommendation 2, which talks to government at all levels seriously attending to the socio-economic challenges facing the country. I'm sure honorable members will be aware that Cabinet has directed that all departments should focus on the implementation of the approved crime and violence prevention, integrated crime and violence prevention strategy, which comprises 6 pillars: an effective criminal justice system, early intervention, victim support, effective and integrated service delivery for safety, security, and violence prevention, safety through effective and integrated environmental design, and active public and community participation. These 6 pillars have both proactive and reactive implications. And what the SAPS has done in response to the ICVPS is introduced the National Policing Strategy, which responds directly to both the proactive and reactive elements of the ICVPS that are applicable to SAPS. The National Policing Strategy, the SAPS has briefed the committee previously on the NPS, but just to refresh your memories, it comprises 6 focus areas. The first, responding to threats to the territorial integrity of the state. The second, responding to threats to the authority of the state. Focus area 3, prevention and investigation of crime that threatens the economy of South Africa. Focus area 4, prevention and investigation of crime that threatens the well-being and safety of all people in South Africa. 5 is stakeholder management and active citizenry. And then 6 is an inward-looking focus area that talks to the capacitation of the SAPS to execute its constitutional mandate. Continuing with recommendation 2, following intensive engagements with the Minister of Police, our Deputy Minister of Police, as well as the Civilian Secretariat for Police Service, the SAPS's top management developed and is implementing an increased crime prevention and combating action plan, which was initiated during May of 2023. The ICPCAP has a very specific focus on countrywide mobilization of the SAPS's resources to address violent crime through inter alia high-density operations, intelligence-led roadblocks, and suspect tracing operations. The ICPCAP, however, also addresses the introduction of specific technologies such as drones, body-worn cameras, CCTV at specific sites, the shot spotter technology, as well as the automated number plate recognition technology to support the SAPS's operational capabilities. Increased community mobilization is a key element of the ICPCAP and focuses on the capacitation of the community police forums, as well as ensuring that there are extensive engagements between the SAPS and various communities through our CPFs, including rural areas, but focusing on our high contact crime stations, as well as the prioritized gender-based violence and femicide stations that we have in the country. The ICPCAP also addresses internal issues such as the availability of SAPS's condition and availability of SAPS's infrastructure and vehicle fleet. The ICPCAP has been integrated into our national policing strategy, thereby consolidating everything into one strategy for the department. And the Minister of Police receives weekly feedback reports from SAPS's top management by the National Commissioner, the Deputy National Commissioners, Provincial Commissioners, and key divisional commissioners on the implementation of the ICPCAP during the course of the previous week. Recommendation 3 talks to social cohesion and support programs, including solidarity networks that bridge the racial and class divides in society that must be supported by all social partners. And while this is a recommendation that has a government or society-wide impact, the SAPS has got specific initiatives embedded within the ICPCAP that contributes to this recommendation. Firstly, the finalization of new elections, that is CPF elections at all levels, in line with the pronouncement that was made by the President in the State of the Nation address that we have the revitalization of CPFs on our agenda. CPF elections have been completed. In addition to that, capacity building sessions with provincial and district boards are in process in all provinces. We've also conducted a community policing indaba at national level involving diverse stakeholders to generate more ideas as to how CPFs could be enhanced. The indaba was held from 17 to 19 May. A task team has been put together to develop an action plan emanating from the indaba. And the National Commissioner also instructed all of our provincial commissioners to conduct similar community policing indabas within their provinces, which is currently underway. The provisioning of support to community police forums is being financed by SAPS to the value of 70 million, and funding will be used to provide specific tools of the trade to enable CPFs to function more efficiently in the role that they play in supporting the SAPS. Recommendation 8 talks to holding accountable those accused of criminal conduct and insisting on expediting internal disciplinary processes. This particular recommendation is driven by the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. These cases that are investigated are done via a multidisciplinary integrated approach that the DPCI uses together with other role players, having prioritized these investigations and creating dedicated teams at head office and in the 3 affected provinces. With regard to the progress that has been achieved by the DPCI and its partners, 68 suspects were arrested. Their cases are not yet finalized. They are still pending in the Durban Magistrate Court, and 2 cases are pending in the Durban High Court and Pietermaritzburg High Court. The cases at the Durban Magistrates Court were postponed to 17 November 2023 for additional charges and indictment under the Protection of the Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorist and Related Activities Act, and 2 cases pending in the Durban and Maritzburg High Courts were postponed to 11 December 2023 and 22 January 2024, including 8 September 2023 for judgment. Looking at the breakdown of the cases that are being investigated, a total of 11 cases are being investigated by the DPCI and their partners. 68 arrests have been effected. The court processes are underway. There are no convictions at the moment, no seizures. There is 1 departmental case, which I will deal with now, and then 4 cases have been referred to the DPP or SPP for decision. In terms of the 1 internal case, 1 member of the SAPS based in Durban was arrested for incitement of violence and is part of the 68 individuals who are currently attending court. The disciplinary matter against this member is still pending. In terms of recommendation 10, The National Commissioner did allude to this in his introduction. The problems in the Crime Intelligence Division must be resolved as a matter of urgency. The National Commissioner referred to the filling of the Divisional Commissioner's post, which was concluded on the 1st of December last year. A total of 18 posts were advertised in the Division Crime Intelligence since February 2023, of which 15 are earmarked for filling on 1 July. 14 of them were filled. An additional 10 SMS posts were filled, and 9 posts were filled in the key polygraph unit within the Division Crime Intelligence. 268 vacancies were also filled during the 22-23 promotion process within the SAPS. There are projects that are being driven aimed at further capacitating this division during the 22-23 financial year, the first being SAPS's Project 10,000. 600 posts were requested by the division with an allocation of 100 collectors for the Eastern Cape. And the SAPS's project on specialized units within the current financial year looks to the 120 posts were requested, with 30 posts for interception data distribution, 20 posts for the Crime Intelligence Division's technical support services, 22 posts for cybercrime collection, and 48 for analysts. And critically, the division has also deployed 2 operatives for police stations at all of the top 30 national high contact crime stations. This is specifically to provide proactive and reactive operational intelligence products on prioritized crime threats at these stations in support of SAPS's intervention plan, the Integrated Crime Prevention and Combating Action Plan, which is aimed at capacitating these stations in the overall fight against crime. Looking at recommendation 16, the police should work towards rebuilding the trust of communities and build or strengthen formal and informal relations between the communities they serve, including community leaders. The SAPS has launched the implementation of community-based perception surveys with the assistance of the University of South Africa, resulting in the development of a couple of specific indices. The first is the public satisfaction with the SAPS's performance index, which stands at 50.57%. The confidence index for SAPS to create a safe and secure environment, 41.64. Levels of satisfaction with the SAPS's investigation of crime, looking at the feedback on complaints specifically, 40.70. SAPS's visibility and community involvement index, 42.77. The Community Police Forum Efficiency and Satisfaction Index at 66.45%. This particular study was done in 2021, and we have, during the 22-23 financial year, also worked with the University of South Africa. They have updated this study, and the results will soon be available to us. What this does do, however, is gives us a clear indication of the areas where we as a department need to improve in terms of community perceptions about the service that we provide. The SAPS has, however, also developed specific deliverables within our National Policing Strategy Annual Operational Plan, which are focused on building trust with the community. We have the implementation of the Community in Blue concept, as well as the traditional policing concept, the review of the community policing strategy linked to the community policing indaba that was conducted, and then also the reinvigoration of the approach to community policing, including some issues that I've referred to already, the capacitation of CPFs, the review of the CPF mandate, which the CSPS is currently busy with, the finalization of CPF elections, the hosting of the National Policing Indaba together with the Provincial Community Policing Indabas, training of CPF members, and then the conducting of those national and provincial Izimbizos, including our prioritized high contact crime stations, GBVF priority stations, and rural stations. In terms of recommendation 16, the SAPS also has a service delivery improvement plan in place, which is reflected in our annual performance plan. The 2023-24 SDIP includes 11 key performance indicators that focus on the implementation of the Batupele principles at local level, using service delivery improvement action plans that have been put in place for divisions, components, provinces, districts, but critically for stations and units. These have been finalized, distributed, and are currently being implemented. Recommendations 17 and 34, while different, have a similar response. Recommendation 17 looks to the police working closely with other government departments at district level to ensure that there's an integrated plan to address the socioeconomic ills that make the population vulnerable to criminal conduct. Recommendation 14 encourages local government to undertake the strengthening of community policing forums that establish partnerships between the public and the police. In this regard, the SAPS is participating in the development and the implementation of the key project within government, the district development model, and the Tshwane district has been earmarked for the development of a DDM blueprint in collaboration with the provincial government. We are also being assisted by the CSPS and the Office of the Deputy Minister. And the intention is to develop the blueprint and roll the blueprint out to the other 51 districts in the country. Our NAT joints and PROV joints have also established priority committees to ensure integrated plans to address socioeconomic challenges and threats. And these include JCPS outreach programs, which are being conducted as part of the ministerial outreach programs with relevant government departments. And there are also national priority interventions being implemented with relevant government departments to stabilize identified hotspots by addressing identified crime threats. Recommendation 18 talks to police officers receiving adequate training in crowd control. It also indicates that they should be involved in exercises to simulate what to do under conditions of extreme violence. Measures have been implemented to capacitate visible policing members in crowd management techniques. And to date, more than 10,000 station members have been trained to assist in crowd management situations as first responders. 4,900 POP members have also been trained during the period 1 April 22 to 31 March 23. And this training includes basic crowd management principles and techniques, as well as specialized training, such as the use of armored vehicles and water cannon. The training of first responders, as well as POP members, is included in our annual training provisioning plan, which is published annually and is based on the needs, the training needs assessment that is conducted annually within the department. Recommendation 19 looks at the public order police capability within SAPS, which needs to be properly capacitated and equipped, and their methods and training revised to deal with large-scale operations. A total number of 4,000 new entry-level SAPS Act members were enlisted during 22-23, of which 3,460 will be deployed at public order policing units and 540 at the POP's national unit. These members are currently attending the workplace exposure training program at police stations and will report to their respective POP units on the 6th of October 2023. In line with recommendations that appear within the Farlam report as well, the command and control of POP capabilities has been centralized with effect from 1 April 23, and units now operate under one command at national level. The POP structure has been finalized and is awaiting approval. Since the 1st of July, 3 national reserve units were amalgamated with the former provincial units to establish accounting units within the respective provinces, and 1 reserve unit was renamed to establish the POP Pinar unit. The current capacity of POP within the country comprises 50 national units, which are divided within the provinces and geographically located there. The following 3 units have been established in Limpopo, Groblersdal, Free State, Harry Smith, and KwaZulu-Natal, Mooi River, and 2 POP units will be established shortly within the Western Cape, the Caledon and Vredenburg POP units. The procurement processes, SAPS has specific procurement processes in place to procure critical specialized equipment, which is required for a modernized crowd management capability. Our crowd management training curriculum comprises 5 comprehensive learning programs, which exposes members to realistic crowd management simulations, including large-scale operations. And these large-scale operations are primarily enacted at the Tabazimbi and Mankwe training academies, which are 2 dedicated POP training facilities which are in place. Various operational concepts, such as the prohibition of the use of R5 rifles during crowd control and regulations, have also been reviewed by the POP capability, aligned with the recommendations, and the Human Resource Division has adapted the training material accordingly. Members were also trained in the use of long-range acoustic devices, or LRADs, which are only used as public address systems. There are a number of POP training courses which are provided to POP members and SAPS members. On this slide, you see a breakdown of the various types of POP training that are provided to our members, with an indication of the number of members trained during the 2021 and 2022-23 financial years. Looking at Recommendation 23, which spoke to policy pronouncements on the responsibilities and powers of the police, which need to be streamlined and clearly communicated to police officers within the context of the July 21 Unrest report. The policy environment relating to public order policing has been substantially reviewed. National Instruction 4 of 2014, which addresses public order policing, specifically crowd management during public gatherings and demonstrations, has been amended and updated to include the recommendations contained in the panel of experts reports on policing and crowd management. That's the Farlam report. And the use of force policy, as approved on 30 August by the then Minister of Police, Minister Mtetwa, has been integrated into the POP National Instruction. The POP capability is taking their policy development further by developing standard operating procedures, some of them under review to be finalized by 31 March 2024, the use of force during crowd management, the POP recruitment and selection SOP, and then the review of the POP deployment SOP. In addition to that, the National Commissioner also instituted National Instruction 5 of 2017, which talks to media communication in the SAPS. And this provides that the Constitution of the Republic entrenches the right to the freedom of expression, however, with certain limitations which are provided for in the Constitution. The Constitution also determines the objectives of SAPS and requires the National Commissioner to control and manage the service in a manner that will ensure that these objectives are achieved. The National Commissioner issued this national instruction to determine specifically how employees must communicate through the media. And we also have National Instruction 2 of 2015, Responsibilities of a Duty Officer, in place, which provides for reporting channels relating to serious incidents. In terms of Recommendation 24, which is the recommendation that we are not able to implement at this time, the matter of what constitutes critical infrastructure or national key points needs to be reviewed according to the recommendation. In spite of the SEPA having only recently been promulgated, we now have to pause to consider if its coverage is wide enough. The SEPA aims to repeal and replace the National Key Points Act. However, it is not yet fully operational. The Critical Infrastructure Council is operating in preparation of the finalization of the regulations before the Act will be put into operation. The impact of the Act and its effectiveness can only be evaluated once the Act is operational. Therefore, amendments to the Act before it is put into operation would be premature. In terms of Recommendation 26, which indicates that a crime prevention strategy between SAPS and SERA needs to be developed, which could include security service providers being afforded minimum police-related powers in times of crisis and equipped with legal knowledge about the extent of their role to be more effective. SAPS and SERA have entered into an MOU to address cooperation and the regulation of the private security industry. In addition to that, we have developed the E2 concept, the eyes and ears concept, that facilitates the involvement of the private security industry in our crime prevention initiatives. It's a concept that's based on the premise that the private security industry functions as the eyes and ears of the SAPS. But each of these two entities, the private security industry and the SAPS, function within their own legal parameters. Recommendation 28 looks for a more structured process to be developed with effective risk assessment at its center to assist the police to react timeously to unrest. The establishment of the National Coordination Center, formerly referred to as the NatJoints Nerve Center, is underway, and the implementation of a new practice has already been approved for the functioning of this capability through the National Security Council. It comprises 5 projects. The first is the NOC, the National Mobilization Support. The second, the Integrated Management Center at the Maupanaga building, which is the NOC redundant site with VVIP hosting center. The third project looks to the renovation of the Toys building as interim accommodation for NatJoints activities. and the rollout and capacitation of the operational command centers at provincial and district levels is Project 4. Project 5 looks to the actual new build in terms of the physical establishment of the National Coordination Center. The integrated work study in respective process and practice for the establishment of the center has been completed, and both the work study and the DPWI feasibility report were submitted to and approved by the NSC. The SAPS has also established a threat matrix, and which is being maintained, and there are concomitant processes in place where actionable alerts or early warnings are in place. This is intelligence that's received from the intelligence community, including social media, which is disseminated to subordinate structures and tracked for planning and actioning by way of receipt certificates from our provincial operational command centers and through the ProvJocs. Recommendation 29, business feels that they should be briefed urgently on what action is being taken to identify perpetrators of the July 2021 violence and bring them to book. The national head of the DPCI, Lieutenant General Labia, provides quarterly national briefings on the crimes that are addressed by the DPCI, including successes. And
Recording
the last
stopped.
briefing by General Labia, I believe, was yesterday. Recommendations 30 and 31. Business believes that strategic distribution centers must be allocated national key point status. These include fuel pipelines, water treatment plants, and 79 chemical facilities and others. And Transnet also wanted to pursue the designation of certain infrastructure as critical infrastructure or national key points in terms of the SEPA. Interim critical infrastructure protection regulations have been approved and were published in the Gazette on 5 May 2023. The regulations regulate the functions and performance of the council. The broad regulations are in process of being consulted and will be published in the Gazette after approval from the minister. This recommendation 32 is similar to the previous recommendations, where Transnet indicated that they wanted to see the coordinating council provided for in the Act established as soon as possible, and the parliamentary process to finalize the regulations for the operation of this body concluded. Members of the Critical Infrastructure Council have been appointed, and as I indicated, the regulations were approved and published in and gazetted on the 5th of May. The actions of the functions of the council are regulated by the regulations, and the minister once finalized. Chairperson, that brings us to the end of the presentation. I will conclude there. Annexure A, which is slides, an additional 5 slides, contains the detailed recommendations. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner.
National Commissioner on the panel of experts, Professor. We didn't hear what you were saying, National Commissioner. Your connection was very bad. Sorry, Chair. Thanks, and Honorable Ministers. Looks like the network is a bit problematic this morning. I was saying that that is our presentation in terms of progress report on the implementation of the recommendations of the panel of experts by Professor Cindy Africa on the 2021 unrest. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner. Honorable members, there is a report, progress report, as a result of the implementation of the recommendations of the panel as appointed by the President. Can we interact with the report? Are there questions, contributions to the report? Or it is as clear as water? If there are no issues, okay. Honorable Golding.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just a question to Brigadier Mitchell, I think, or possibly to the Commissioner. There was an issue of vacancies and hopeful postings. Based on the feedback we've had around budget cuts, how viable is that looking, both from obviously an appointment point of view, and then also a training point of view, which was outlined? I'm just wondering if this is not just a wish list, which is probably not going to happen. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Marekwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning once more to all the DM, the Commissioner, and all participants on the platform. I'm not sure if I'm audible enough, Chair.
You are audible.
Thank you so much. Now, Chair, let me take the opportunity to welcome and appreciate the report from the panel of experts as presented by the police, SAPS, and then also condolences, relay my condolences also to all families of police members, men and women who lost their lives in the line of duty now recently and other times before we had this meeting in other different areas. It is also raising this matter of members who lost their lives. It's really sad to realize that we're losing committed and very young policemen and women who committed their lives to service and to serve the citizens of this country, putting their lives on the line. As it may be, may their souls rest in peace. Chairperson, one knows the report. There isn't much to say, and like I said, we appreciate and welcome the report. But I just want to raise one area where, in terms of the report, as one went through it, one realizes that much is said about SAPS. And when we refer to the July 2021 unrest in Durban in particular, the Metro Police were there. As we know that Durban as a metro has got Metro Police. Gauteng, Joburg, or wherever, Ekurhuleni and other areas, they have Metro Police. But little is said about their role in terms of what is it that they are going to do going forward, because they are metros also in assisting the police. It's not clearly reflecting. There is an area where it talks about training, where police and metro members will be like parades and all those other things. But in terms of what the metro, which is a municipality, what role are they going to be playing in assisting and dealing with issues that affect the communities at that level? I'm raising this, Chair, because every matter of crime in our country it's thrown at the door of the SAPS alone. But it is important that metros, or let me say municipalities, also play a significant role. Maybe at some stage we need to call them also to come to our portfolio committee meeting, because they have a major role also in dealing with issues of bylaws, in fighting crime at that level. There are issues that happen at the municipal level that could have been avoided or dealt with, but we leave it up until SAPS has to come in and deal with those issues. Many ills that are taking place in our communities, we have bylaws, and it seems municipalities, they are not really having the appetite, or if any, it is very little of fighting, and not fighting, but strengthening their bylaws to make sure that residents within those communities or within their boundaries know the do's and don'ts when in public spaces. So I think it is important that the municipalities play a big role in also assisting the police at all times. I've seen in the report where it talks about the DDMs, the district DDMs. It will also call in for it should not be it should not be the responsibility only of the police, but the metros, the municipalities, let them also be seen playing a role in making sure that the residents or citizens in the country are taken care of. And many things can be solved at the municipal level, Chairperson. In brief, if I want to be just brief, many things can be dealt with and solved at the municipal level only if we can strengthen the bylaws that we have, that it seems like we've been neglecting or avoiding for the longest of time. Chairperson, as we go to, I think it's page 9, slide 29, that talks to critical infrastructure. Infrastructure Council, the call by business and including both Transnet. I think that is very important, Chair. It needs to also maybe given the attention if the council that is established to look into that. One is raising this point of the importance of this council and looking and declaring certain areas and they're using key points, something like that, yeah. Critical key points of the country. It is important. Why I'm saying that, we have seen what has happened in Joburg recently, the issue of the pipe, the road just going, being the explosion of the pipe. Some of the things we will have experts saying many things, but we know that we've got Zamazamas dealing with our underground areas. So it can be questionable what exactly caused that particular explosion. But it is important that the council really identifies and really mention those areas that they will feel will be included into the key points of this country, because we are losing critical infrastructure, whether deliberately or otherwise, but we cannot just be folding our hands and seeing infrastructure of this country being destroyed and we just go on as if life is normal. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rekwa. Honorable Derplanche.
Chairperson, thank you. I want to start by I want to commend the police for the presentation that we had. I think that we can safely say that we are seeing a lot of positives, coming to the fore. A very good example is obviously, the incident at Makado and Toyando. And, obviously one can see that there was a lot of effort in their joint operation where people from different special sort of specialities in the police contributed to this. Chairperson, my concern is, I have a few concerns as well. There is an apparent, and I do understand it to a certain extent, but I have, a slight concern. There is an apparent further sort of centralizing the control of the police. And if you one of the things that is lacking at the moment, as I said, there are a lot of positives, but the impact of this is not seen in terms of the crime statistics yet. Still, while we are going on with this, crime statistics are rising, every day still. And my question is, what is being done to, strengthen policing at police station level? The other day, my wife and I, we were driving from Mossel Bay to Port Elizabeth or Gqeberha, and we were discussing that all the way from Mossel Bay to Gqeberha, we didn't see any police officials or police vehicles busy with active crime prevention. And, I'm just worried that we are sort of focusing on, what is called high density operations, and that we think that policing can only be done by operations. And I think that there is the lack there is that we need to strengthen normal crime prevention on a daily basis. And also the ability of the police officials at police stations to help the public when they go there. That is something I think that is really lacking at the moment still. The critical infrastructure, I'm also glad to learn that there are, developments there. It is, I think, really concerning that after all this time, despite the developments to date, that this committee or, board is still not operating properly. Chairperson, I would like to know, what is planned for that? And, we also raised at some stage that, in terms of physical resources, that new avenues will be considered. For instance, the sourcing of vehicles, transport, stuff like that. What progress is being made with that up to date? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Majosi.
No, thank you, Chairperson. Mine would be on the unrest that took place in 2021, and maybe our prevention strategy that we have, and also we make sure that we don't experience what we experienced in 2021, of which I would then say that, with the recent issue that happened of banning of trucks and so forth, it's good that at least the criminals there were identified, and but that alone doesn't sit me well, because whenever there would be a political thing that will happen, we will start hearing people saying it is that time for looting. So what as this committee as well, I think it's something that we must speak about, because it is not only the unrest that I am uncomfortable with, but it is also the issue of protest, Chairperson. The protests that are happening around, I don't deny that people must have protests and people must protest against getting
Recording in progress.
But also the banning of ties on the streets, it ruins the infrastructure that we have. So you would find that there's a protest and people have put stones and they're burning ties and what, and police officers have no powers maybe to do anything, because they just stand there and make sure that no one gets injured or no motor cars would be vandalized and so forth.
Recording
So
stopped.
other than that, you don't get how then do we protect the same roads that we have, because they are critical to us. We use them every day. If we have potholes, we must then come back and also complain to government that this is what is happening. So I wanted to check if maybe what sort of policy, or I don't know, something that would then align the police officers. What is it that they should do when it comes to that situation? Because we see these protests every day and there's absolutely nothing you can do. You see police officers standing, they're just watching what is happening there, and it ends there. After that, they go back and shift.
Recording in progress.
Remove all it's very disturbing, this thing of recording in progress. Removing the stones and ties and so forth. So I'm not sure what policy do we have that then would make our police officers to have that power to say people cannot put stones and they cannot burn ties on the streets because they are ruining that. And also, Chairperson, what we observed, because we did an oversight, we had an oversight as the IFP caucus that went to Gauteng, we went to Moroka police station. I would want to put it into this committee that I mean, Moroka police station does not have camera surveillance. There are no cameras at Moroka police station. The fencing, the security fencing at Moroka police station is non-existent. In fact, when we put it clearly, because criminals can jump, they do come in, and we got a complaint that they even steal batteries, SAPS motorcars batteries. They steal these batteries and go out. So they are not captured because there's no camera, and there's no security that it's tight in that area. And remember, Moroka police station services a lot of areas: Yodlamini, Shawela, Mapetla, White City, Central, and so forth. It's many areas. I think it's even more than 13 areas that they service. In each area, you would find that there's more than 13,000 or 15,000 people that live in that area. I would really want to get a response on what is it that we are doing to make sure that Moroka police station gets the security that they should have as a police station. Imagine a police station that does not have camera surveillance. So anything that happens there, it's not recorded. And also, what I would want to know, what is the relationship between SAPS and these, I'm not sure what they call them, the ones that were trained and employed in the Gauteng government, the officers that were trained that are operating now. What is their relationship? Because we have been receiving complaints that yes, they do their work, and I applaud them for that, but they shouldn't abuse it to an extent, because now they take these illegal foreigners, and if you don't have any documents, they beat you up, take your money, they put you underground. They say there's an underground that they go to. So in such an instance, what relationships do we have with a provincial government, so that we mitigate in between and we make sure that, yes, it's proper that if you don't have documents, you must be deported. But also, it is not proper that we now violate people and start assaulting them. We don't agree with that. Yes, I wanted to know that in terms of critical infrastructure, how do we make sure, what powers do officers have that they must protect our infrastructure? Thanks, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. Lower your hand, Honorable Majosi. Thank you. We're in your hands, DM, National Commissioner.
No, thanks, Chair. I think let's allow the team with the Commissioner to respond to the questions and comments by members. Over to you, National Commissioner, through you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, DM. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson and members. Honorable Chair, if I can just ask Honorable Wakefield, his first question, he was talking about training. If he can just repeat that question, please.
Honorable Wakefield or
I've got a
Golding?
feeling, I think it was me who asked that question, Honorable Whitfield.
Okay.
Chair, there was an indication of expanded training, specifically around POPs and crowd control. My question was twofold. It had to do with the vacancies and added posts which you are hoping to add, and then obviously the training which is tied to that. And my question was, based on the budget cuts which we seem to be facing now, how practical is this, or is this just a wish list, which we hope will get there, but based on the reduced budgets, don't practically seem to be possible in the next while? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. National Commissioner.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. Yeah, you can check on slide 20, the 4,000 members that we have allocated to POP. They've already been trained in the basic public order police training that they have received already. Yes, well, when we go to other advanced courses and other courses in public order, we will reprioritize. Currently, I cannot say how will the outlook be after we make our submission to Treasury in terms of this current budget cuts. Only once we have engaged with them and they explain to us the do's and don'ts, then we can reprioritize and see which other further courses we can continue giving. So that will be dependent on the engagement, Honorable Chairperson. On the question of Honorable Maregwa, Metro Police, we do train, assist Metro Police in terms of training, especially in public order. We involve them. And yes, on their functions, the sphere of functions, one of their functions, yes, is bylaw enforcement, which countrywide, I think, is an area that is suffering. We are aware. Yeah, that is an area that metro councils and their policing authorities needs to focus on, because bylaws definitely are not being enforced as they're supposed to be, which is one of their functions. The Critical Infrastructure Council, yes, it has been appointed. The regulations, we have participated in the development of the regulations with the Civilian Secretariat of Police, and they will be able to take them forward with the minister. But we have done, we did participate in the development of those regulations. On Honorable Terblanche, matter on the more centralization, there was a recommendation in the Farlam recommendations about the centralization of POP in line with the Police Act, which passed, and they recommended that it be centralized. We have effected that centralization, but how it works, it doesn't mean that they are going to work only on command of national. What it means is that most of their functions in terms of your support functions, that is your personnel structures, resources, and so on, will be given from the centralized point, but the day-to-day tasking of the public order police, that will still remain the function of the provincial commissioner in the specific province. So you'll still be able to use them for the day-to-day taskings in the specific province. In terms of visibility, Operation Chanela, which we started in May, we concentrate more on our hotspots, stations, and districts, and the rest of the members are still allowed to go on with generic policing in the various areas, and this operation only concentrate on those areas which are hotspots. But of course, there is visibility during those operations. We are not saying we only do policing through operations. Generic policing still continues at the station level, whereas the operations assist in stabilizing high, especially your high contact crime stations. And the operations, of course, they assist in enhancing visibility in those specific areas. But stations and districts where there will be no operations, still has to implement their station and district level operations to ensure that there is visibility. We have not yet reached where we would love to be. Most of the students that were released last year in December, most of them, not all of them, are on the ground because some of them are still confined in workplace exposure at police stations. And I understand it's their last month now. So as soon as they get out, we'll definitely have an improved presence, and that will also enhance our visibility. And it comes at the right time, just before we start the festive season in this current financial year. Honorable Majority, in terms of damage to roads by protests and the burning of roads where there is no police action, is part of the training is we emphasize to police members to handle those situations. Damage to property is not allowed, but where it does happen, it is up to the specific operational commander to decide on a course of action to take, whether taking action will it de-escalate or escalate the problem. And that's where the decision is on the specific operational commander at the specific place. The members are trained, they are aware that damage to property is not allowed, but of course, every situation is handled according to whatever decisions they come up to, whatever factors they take into consideration before such a decision is taken. Because one of the decisions will be maybe to disperse those people that are causing that. But however, dispersal will always depend on whether it's going to escalate or de-escalate the situation. So, yeah, that is how it is done. Moroka Police Station, CCTVs and the fence. Last year we gave budget. If honorable members remember, actually the current financial, even last year, even this year, we gave budget to provinces and for police stations as part of the police safety plan. We gave the budget to provincial commissioners to put CCTVs at police stations and put fences where there are no fences at police stations. I know one of the provinces that did well is Western Cape. I think they performed over 80%. Gauteng, most of their tenders were going to fall in this current financial year. So I'm not exactly sure where Moroka is in the priority list of the province, but I know that Gauteng's projects, most of them were rolling out this current financial year. We'll come back with that one. We'll go and do inquire from the province, and then we can send a response in this regard. So, but all provinces were given budget based on the priority. Police stations, if honorable members can remember, we had a figure of 99 police stations. But I know that the province that did quite well in this regard was Western Cape. And but we will come back with feedback once we got touch base with the province. The relationship between South African Police Service and the wardens in Gauteng, yeah, the provincial commissioner they do work with the traffic or the wardens in Gauteng, and the wardens, they do work alone, but sometimes they do work with police. We will issue a directive to him, will engage the province on those, what the honorable member have indicated, especially in terms of how they should handle people. So that will bring it under the attention of them. Critical infrastructure, what powers do police officers have? In terms of the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act, the responsibility to protect a certain category or classes of infrastructure is that of the owner of the infrastructure, and we are doing some. Those that we are doing is your government installations, for example, your seat of parliament in Cape Town and the administrative capital, that is the Union Building, all the 9 legislatures and other buildings, including our principals, those that are declared. So we only do certain number of critical infrastructure. Some of the critical infrastructure, which are mostly your critical installations, are done by the respective owners. We prescribe standards. For example, if you can take your international airports, we prescribe standards to the owners and they comply with that. But of course, at airports, you do find police there that works there. But in other critical infrastructure, like your water-related and other things, our function is more to regulate and prescribe protection standards, and also, of course, monitor compliance and ensure that if there is no compliance, then the minister have powers that he can do to ensure compliance in that respective critical infrastructure. So there is various categories of these infrastructures that some we do, some are done by the respective owners. I don't know whether I have answered all the questions. General Msipili, is there anything to add?
Thank you, National Commissioner. General, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, honorable members, the chairperson, the DCIB, the Deputy Minister of Police. General, you have covered all the questions that the members have asked, I think, adequately. Yeah. No, I think everything has been covered, General. I think some it's the noting to follow up when we do the assessments of the operations outside the Operation Shanela operations, especially with regard to what Honorable Terblanche has raised on the visibility of members who will follow up on that and make sure that we issue the NCCF instruction for the crime prevention to continue outside of Operation Shanela, which is structured and have a specific focus in terms of identified hotspot areas. Thank you very much. And General, I think the other issue was the resourcing. How is the department intend to resource units in terms of the vehicles, which I think it was also covered, hence the question by Honorable Golding on the issues of capacitation. It's part and parcel. It was raised by Honorable Golding as well as Honorable Terblanche. Thank you very much. I submit.
Thanks very much. I don't see more hands. It seems
there's my chairperson. Yes. Just a follow-up, Chair. I think I hear what General Masemola is alluding to when it comes to the issue of protests. And I think maybe it was because I was raising it so that we find a uniform way of dealing with it. Because at the end of the day, it's the South Africans that get to have a disadvantage when there's a vandalization of streets and so forth. So I hear what General Masimula is saying in terms of it depends on the situation at that present moment, and the station commander will then maybe take a decision. But imagine being a station commander having to take a decision about a matter that maybe might put you in an inquiry one day because maybe you took a decision and people have died. That's why I wanted maybe this committee and the police one day, maybe let us have a discussion around this area, because we are not going to this is not the last time we are going to see protests. Protests are forever going to be there. But how do we make sure that we have a uniform way of approach that makes sure that people do not, and I understand that police officers sometimes they cannot approach the community because you'll find that they've got stones and what, and then they throw back at them. And that is why I want us then to have a uniform way, or that maybe it will be passed by Parliament or what, so that everyone knows that you are not allowed to burn ties on the streets, because you are ruining the very same infrastructure that you would want one day to drive on or to do, So that is what I want, not because of I'm speaking in terms of streets only, it's not roads only, but also vandalizing your community centers. People will just throw stones and want to burn offices and so forth. So that also it creates a problem, because the next day we would want to get services from those offices and so forth. So that is why leaving it at the hands of the commander on that station at that present moment, I think then it doesn't satisfy the fact that which means we don't have a uniform approach, but we call ourselves one SAPS, which is controlled nationally. Then we must have a uniform approach when it comes to these protests, that, okay, fine, when this happens, then this happens. When this, instead of saying it is a commander that will take a decision based on what will be happening at that present moment. Because I, as a station commander, would not want to take any decision that would make me to come to an inquiry one day to say this commander then did 1, 2, 3. And so those are the issues. I'm not blaming SAPS, but I'm saying let us maybe one day have this discussion so that we find a way of moving forward and making sure that we protect our own infrastructure. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much. I think we're fine. Do you still want to come in, National Commissioner, after that follow-up?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I think what I would like to say at this stage is I welcome the suggestion by the Honorable Member that we need to have a discussion on this matter. That I think we wholeheartedly will welcome that opportunity so that we can discuss it. Because the only problem of our platform, as you are aware that we have to account to yourself, the portfolio committee. But there are certain things that every time we say them here, they work counter against us. I think you remember one day I gave an example that where we gave a response on, I think it was a question in Parliament, and it was published in the newspaper. And the following day, thugs went to that police station, they attacked it because they knew exactly how many police were there. So when they saw a certain number outside, they knew what is at the police station. And they attacked the police station. And when they were arrested, they indicated that, no, they knew. So in the paper that there's shortage of police there. And if they saw 3 outside, they know there's only 1 at the police station. So I think we can create that opportunity like the honorable member is suggesting, where we can have time to engage on this matter, probably in a different platform. That will assist a lot. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thanks very much. I think we've exhausted the discussion, but before I step out of this item, I wanted to check if Commissioner Nissen is available. Just to
Honorable Chairperson, I'm available.
Yes, before we wanted your view on the progress with regard to your report, but you were not there. I'm not sure whether you are available to brief in summary the committee on how far are you with the report regarding the Unrest 2021 Unrest in KZN and Gauteng.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My greet all the honorable members, the National Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioners, and all the other officials there. And let me then say all protocol observed. Indeed, Chairperson, we have concluded what we call a draft report or a preliminary report that we've sent to all the stakeholders, or not the stakeholders only, but all those who appeared before the Commission. That includes from the presidency right down to the ministers and SAPS and everybody. And obviously, we've given them, per the Act of the Human Rights Commission, we've given the time frame for the response from the various witnesses, as we call them, or the people that appeared before the Commission in terms of the hearing. And they will obviously have to either concur or disagree or have their views. And that is what the Commission's report is always about. It is always give the other party to respond to what we have been putting out there in the public domain. At the moment, it is not really in the public domain. It is only to those who appeared and as respondents in the inquiry. So they are to then respond, and we've given a time frame. We did have one respondent asking us to postpone their the request till October. So we believe that was granted. So we believe that probably in terms of timeframes, only towards November, December, that a final report will be issued. But it's a preliminary report. And secondly, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, members, the Commission's report is always of such a nature that when the respondents feel that they want to take some parts or the whole report on review, it is the right to do so. However, I think that what we have in the report is for now, in my opinion, very reasonable in terms of what witnesses came to tell us and what our investigators went to look at, and how we put that report together by our team. And I think, Chairperson, for now, it is for the respondents to come back to us and say, we see your recommendations, your directives, these are the things, and this is our response to it. So, Chairperson, that is the process that we have at the moment. And Chairperson, I wish at some stage I could come and address you on, because I've listened to all the issues that some of the members raised, and particularly around, the unrest and so on. And I must say that my experience, particularly in this province, working with General Patekile and General Buden, and also Brigadier, Heilbron. And I think that at some stage, if you would like us to invite us, we would gladly do it. But also safe to say, Honorable Chairperson, between the South African Police Services and the Human Rights Commission, we have an MOU, and it's working perfectly well because human rights is there just to support the work of the South African Police. And General Matonsi, who is my counterpart, we're talking on a daily basis as to how we can support the women and men in blue. Thank you, Chairperson. And Chairperson, thank you so much for allowing me to enter the space, because we've always valued the support of the Portfolio Committee, but also from our side, we value the oversight function that you together with us in terms of law enforcement in this country. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Nissen. It's important that we always work together. I think we'll respond positively to the invitation to have a full brief with regard to what you are doing, even before you finalize the report. I think we'll look at that and see when can we have that meeting where you give a full report to the portfolio committee, because that report has an impact on some of the decisions that are to be taken by the portfolio committee. Having said that, I think we are now towards the end of our meeting. Just to say, I don't know whether the DM wants to give his closing remarks before we close the meeting.
Chairperson, my apologies. May I just come in and apologize for not recognizing the DM? And I want to apologize because my phone is not that good that I can see, but I apologize to the Deputy Minister. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. DM?
No, thanks, Commissioner. Thanks, Chair. Members of Parliament and the General Masemola, Acting Secretary Ramaru, and the delegation from IPID. We really would like to take this opportunity to thank the committee for the opportunity you gave us last week and this week to appear before you, and commend you on the resolution you took to proceed with the bill. And I'm happy with the comments both from members who had a contrary view, but saying that they will participate in the processes and make sure that the necessary amendments are effected on the legislation in such a manner that we can secure and guarantee the independence of IPID, in the sense that the appointment of the executive director will not be the sole responsibility of the executive, but also Parliament through the committee will play a role in that regard. And I want to indicate here, Chair, that the executive is happy with that arrangement, not that we never wanted the legislature to participate. We just had an opinion that made us to arrive here in the manner in which we did, but we'll welcome any amendment that at the end of the day will stand the test of time, that is, it will pass constitutional muster. And I believe with the engagement we have had and our engagement with yourself, we should be proud of what we have been able to achieve. We have had you well, and we are ready and willing to work with the committee to ensure that this piece of legislation is a piece of legislation that will benefit the country, and all of us will be proud of it. It's a good thing, and it's good that we must continue to be robust in our engagement. We are here to account to you. You have a role to play as an oversight on behalf of the people of South Africa, and I think we should be able to find each other and work together. But we commit ourselves that we will look favorably to the amendment that members and the public are going to propose in this regard. We will not say no to any recommendation that will be made just for the sake of saying no. We believe together we can make a difference in this regard, and we would like to thank you, Chairperson, and your committee members, and particularly the role that your staff have played in guiding us through this difficult process that have led us to where we are. but we will do our level best from our side, and we will want to thank everybody for their contribution in this regard. Thanks very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DM. Thanks very much, colleagues, for your time. I've requested our staff, admin staff, to try and secure that we have physical meetings, especially when we engage with the bill. I will wait for they still have to make applications, and if our applications are approved, then we'll be able to do that. I'm just sensitizing members so that we are not surprised if it is approved. When the invitation comes, says it's a physical meeting. But we'll try our best to make sure that everything we do as a committee and on behalf of the committee is done procedurally, is done in line with the rules of Parliament and in line with the legal framework that is there in the Republic of South Africa. Thanks very much. The meeting is closed. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks very much, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.